Run.
Welcome everybody to yet another On the Run, and it's been 4 weeks since I've done my last On the Run. It's been a very, very busy time, so I apologise for that, but there could be no better place to do On the Run from than where I am at the moment, which is the gorgeous surroundings of Crown Sydney. I'm in an absolutely beautiful room in Crown Sydney, a villa. They upgraded me and put me in a very, very nice room. There's only 6 villas per floor. Beautiful lounge room I'm in at the moment. Separate dining room, bedroom, bathroom, a balcony looking out over Sydney Harbour. Just an absolutely gorgeous room. Certainly one of the best rooms I've ever stayed in my life, I would say. Very, very nice room indeed. Lots of things in this room that just work. If any of you haven't stayed at Crown Sydney, please do at some point. Just even the way the light switches work, and there's a charging pad for my iPhone next to the bed, and just everything works in the room so well, and the quality is really there. So Crown have done a great job with quality here. I just take my hat off to them. The property is magnificent, Crown Sydney. The non-gaming, let's talk a bit about Crown Sydney, because I think a lot of people watching this may not have stayed down here. The non-gaming facilities here are excellent. There are 8 restaurants. It's not a lot of restaurants, but the quality of them is very, very high. I ate last night in Woodcut, which is a steak restaurant, I guess. Well, it's actually got more than just steak, but very, very nice indeed. And I spent a lovely evening in there, chatting to the guys in there and having a exquisite meal. Great wine, great atmosphere. This evening I dined at Amare, which is an Italian restaurant. Very, very good indeed. Probably one of the best Italian restaurants in Sydney, if not arguably the best. Maybe I can think of 1 or 2 others in Sydney that would stake that claim, but it would certainly be a candidate. There's a Nobu here as well. What else is there? Epicurean is the breakfast and buffet restaurant that's packed in the mornings. I've stayed here for the whole week, Monday through Friday. I'm recording this very late on Thursday night. You will be seeing it, I guess, on Friday morning, and it's just been a great week. There's a great open sort of rooftop nightclub. Well, not really a nightclub, a lounge bar called Cirque on the 26th floor. Even though Crown is 75 floors high, how can the 26th floor be rooftop? Well, there are stages. So it is effectively like a rooftop bar, and then it gets narrower and narrower as the building goes up. Also went and had a look at a beautiful little speakeasy bar called Neat Pete, also on the 26th floor. Yeah, just great facilities here. Truly 6-star stuff. That's the non-gaming. On the gaming side, well, any of you who've been following IAG for years now will know that gaming has been particularly problematic in Australia for a number of years, and particularly in New South Wales. Crown has not escaped any of that. Going to a casino now, going to Crown Sydney, it's not nearly as easy as it is anywhere else in the world. You have to sign up. I went through that process this evening, went and did it. They told me it was going to be 10 minutes, turned out to be 35 minutes. But again, probably not their fault, just all the things that they have to go through. So there's a lot of, it's quite invasive. Take your picture for facial recognition purposes. You have to give them your ID. They obviously run some background checks on you, and maybe you get accepted and maybe you don't get accepted. No slot machines, Crown Sydney, table games only. Once I did get into the gaming, just one floor. Those of you who follow IAG closely may know that there are actually 2 floors of gaming, but one closed down. And then it's not even open 24 hours. I think it's open till, I'll put the hours up on the screen. I took a picture of the operating hours, so we'll put those up on the screen now. I think it might be 4 a.m. on the weekends, 2 a.m. otherwise. I'm not sure. Anyway, the hours will be up on the screen. 56 main floor tables, I guess you would say. Some other tables out to the side. Then a VVIP with about 8 tables. And then salons upstairs up on the 28th floor. There are 8, I think, salons. And I was lucky enough to get a tour of those. And they're absolutely beautiful. I mean, I've never seen a more beautiful gaming space, to be honest. I mean, you couldn't get any nicer than it is. Of course, you could get as nice, and there are properties in Macau with gaming rooms as nice as those, but not better, I wouldn't think. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful, and the views are incredible. The building's so tall, and it's right on the harbour's edge, so the views are just absolutely stunning. And wherever you go in the building, there are balconies looking out over the harbour to the Opera House and Sydney Harbour Bridge. And just on a night like tonight, it's a still, quiet night in Sydney tonight, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah, the gaming a little problematic to sign up. Took me quite some time because they had to check out all my previous history at Crown, which is long and varied from 1994 onwards. Yeah, I guess I saw a quartz ETG in there with 20 positions. I saw 6 ETGs out in the balcony. There's a lovely balcony running around the outside of the gaming floor. Then there were 56 tables in the main floor. I think I already said this, I apologise. Yeah, and then 8 rooms upstairs. I guess there's another 20 odd tables up there. And then perhaps 8 tables in the VVIP, and then a few tables off to the side as well. So maybe 60, 76, maybe 80 tables all up, and no slots and 26 ETG positions. While I was signing up, other people were signing up as well and going through the quite convoluted process you have to go through to get a member's card to get into play, and you must do that to get in and play. And the door is very policed, almost Singapore style, not quite as much. It's a Thursday night. Tonight there were about, I guess, 150 players on the floor. The limits are quite high, so I'm sure their business is building up, but it's a far cry from what it was originally planned to be, of course. And we've talked about that a lot on IAG, so I won't go into it too much. Anyway, that's Crown Sydney, and I talked to some of the senior management here, the very senior management, couldn't get any more senior here, and they offered a fairly bright outlook for the future. They thought that things were picking up, the players were getting used to the situation. It's mainly wealthier locals now, of course, not international play so much. And there's a stark contrast, I think, between here at Crown Sydney, and what's going on at Star. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on in this episode of On the Run. And now that they've got their license back, they're really converting from that remediation process that they were going through to get their license back to actually operating an integrated resort now. So good luck to them. Yeah, so that's it from about Crown. I've been down to Melbourne last week, and I'm actually going back to Melbourne tomorrow. We'll spend some time. I'm actually going into Crown on Monday. I'm having dinner on Monday night in Crown. So Crown in Melbourne, yeah, maybe I can give you a bit of an update from Crown in Melbourne as well. All right, let's move on. So one of the things I want to mention is the Super September event that we're running on September 9, 10 and 11, the evening of the 9th. Of course, as last year, we have three elements to that. We have the MAD Manila After Dark, which this year will be held at Casa Buenas at Newport World Resorts. A lovely little restaurant, sort of a Filipino-Spanish tapas kind of restaurant. And we'll be doing a special menu, of course, and booking out the whole restaurant for that on the evening of September the 9th, the Monday evening, and that will serve not only as a MAD, but as the welcome event, welcoming people to the summit beginning the next morning. And so we will have the IAG Academy Summit on the Tuesday and Wednesday, September 10th and 11th. And it'll run all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday. But when I say all day, it's a relaxed day. It's sort of 10 till 4:30. We don't like to, unlike other conferences, we don't like to load the conference too much up. We like to give lots of gaps before, during and after for people to network, because that's a very important part of conferences and thought leadership events in the gaming industry. And then on the Tuesday night, the evening of the 10th, we will have the IAG Academy IR Awards, the awards for the integrated resort industry for Asia. So land-based integrated resort industry for Asia. So look forward to seeing you all there at that. A little bit more information, like people have asking me, well, what is this academy you talk of? It's something we began it in 2021 during the pandemic, but we haven't fully developed it yet. It has a big event every year now, this Super September event at Newport World Resorts each September, but we haven't fully yet developed the academy. But it's going to be a learning institute for learning about the integrated resort industry, both online and offline teaching. And watch this space in 2025. We're looking like hiring a director who's going to focus purely on developing the academy for IAG, and that's going to be a new thing that IAG does in addition to our standard media and advertising business and our quite well developed events business and our advisory services business. It'll be the fourth arm of IAG, this sort of educational institute or academy as we're calling it, and let's see how that develops over the years. Now, and of course, in 2025 this event will come back again to Newport World Resorts. We already have the dates. We've already signed the deal with Newport. 8th, 9th and 10th of September 2025. The MAD will be on the 8th, and the 9th and the 10th will be the summit again with the awards on the evening of day one. But the difference will be we will have a fully fledged expo. So we will have an expo with raw space stands, shell scheme booths, just as you might see at other major expos around the world like G2E or ICE or whatever. So that's exciting. That will begin in 2025. So we will start approaching, well, we actually already have started approaching exhibitors about that. So watch this space. Now, not to be outdone, Macau, also we're doing an event in Macau on August the 29th. That's our MAD, this time Macau After Dark, not Manila After Dark. And this one is at Blind Tiger, the very nice bar at the W Hotel at Macau Studio City. So Melco will be hosting us at Blind Tiger. So that's August 29. So that is just 2 weeks from when I'm shooting this, 13 days from when you're seeing it, if you're watching it tomorrow morning for me, today for you on Friday. So if you have an invitation, if you've been invited to that event, please do get on down there. It's going to be a great, great evening. All right, well, let's talk about stories. Well, of course, I'm not even going to do a top 10 this week because I talked a lot about Sydney and I talked about some of the things that IAG are doing. And of course, I talked about this beautiful room and this beautiful property, Crown Sydney. But look, I'll just talk about five big stories since the last on the run. Let's go through what I think probably the five biggest stories in the last 4 weeks. We'll start with Thailand. So a lot going on in Thailand. The Prime Minister of Thailand was just ousted by their Supreme Court. Huge news, just happened was yesterday, so we found out about it today. So there will be a new Thai Prime Minister. The coalition partner of the ruling party is a no to the casino bill that's been put out. So this is by no means a fait accompli that integrated resorts will be coming to Thailand, and there is quite some opposition to it politically. So we need to get over all that before we can get to the regulatory aspects. So it's interesting. Let's see what will happen in Thailand. Watch this space. But the noises that were being made a few months ago that the first IRs in Thailand could open in 2029 and beat Japan to the punch may not be true. So let's see what happens. And that will be a subject, no doubt, that will be talked about at the IAG Summit when we have our summit, September 10 and 11. On the mention of Japan, Osaka, of course, MGM is the, well, I was going to say 50-50 partner, I should say 40-40 partner, 40-40 with 20 with other companies in the Osaka IR consortium, but MGM is the main, it'll be called MGM Osaka, I imagine, or something like that. And it's an MGM property, and they have been asked to stop construction for 6 months on Yumashima Island whilst the World Expo is on. Now, this is by no means definitely going to happen. The Expo people have asked the Osaka governor to do this, to instruct MGM to do that. But apparently IAG reports that there is some consternation because if they do that, it may allow MGM to trigger a termination clause. There is a termination clause in the contract MGM has that they're allowed to terminate the contract up to September 2026 should certain things occur. And they, there's some talk that MGM might want to get out of this contract if they could. There's also, that may also be not true at all. It may be that MGM have done their sums, they've worked out their numbers. I suspect that Bill Hornbuckle is pretty okay with proceeding on how things are at the moment. I think he has cut back a lot on the financial commitment that MGM would have had to make under Jim Murren. It's now 40% of the consortium. 20% of that is being funded. So only 20% of that, is being financed. So only 20%, half of that is being financed. So half of 40% is 20%. And so they've only got to find 20% of the total cost. So if the total cost is 9 billion maybe, because the exchange rate's going the right way for them as well, that's quite handy. Well, it's only 1.8 billion. And of course you could spread that over a number of years. So it mightn't be that bad. And, Bill might be thinking, well, I'm happy to proceed. Then again, if the option came up to terminate, it is a big investment. And who knows, with the rules as they are, what the return on that investment is going to be. But I suspect that now that they effectively have the monopoly, and it looks like it may stay that way, it may not. The Japanese government may do some more rounds and may have a new player come in. But I think with everything that's happened, even if they did more rounds and tried to attract other companies around the world would now be very leery of Japan. It wouldn't be like it was back in 2018, 2019, where every company in the world was desperate to get into Japan. So I don't know whether MGM would want to terminate or not, quite frankly. But there is a school of thought that they would want to. And I'm presenting a school of thought that maybe that they would not. So that one's quite interesting. And if they did terminate, I mean, they've already been delayed from 2029 to 2030. And if they did terminate construction for 6 months, well, I guess that might push it out to 2031. I tell you what, my 2032 prediction might come true. Years and years and years and years ago, I predicted 2032. And people were laughing at me. This is when they were trying to get it done for the Olympics in 2020, which of course ended up being 2021 because of COVID. What else? Sydney. Let's go to Sydney for story number 3, or topic number 3. So Sydney, where I am right now, Sydney, Australia, very interesting. The NICC, the New South Wales, the regulator basically, Casino Commission or whatever they're called, Philip Crawford and his mob, they have extended the term of the manager for Star for 6 months. So this hints that they're going to be found not suitable again in Bell 2. So this is the second Bell inquiry into Star's suitability. Well, how could they not be found not suitable? I mean, after that, the way that inquiry went, just go and search on IAG and read all the stories you wrote about it. It was a disaster for them. So, of course, you would have to assume that they were going to be found not suitable. The question is going to be not, will they be found not suitable? The question will be, will they be found not suitable, but the manager stay and try to resurrect it and get back to suitability like Crown did? Or will they just be stripped of their license completely and start again, get a new company in? I suspect it needs to be the former, because there are so many companies have looked at Star as a possible acquisition and have rejected it because it's such a basket case. They've got Steve McCann from Lendlease in to be CEO, of course. He was the one that sort of kicked off the remediation process for Crown, or started to get Crown back. He was only there for a short time, a year or so, and managed to sell to Blackstone. But in Sydney, he says there's no sale possible. I'm inclined to agree with him. He's got a very good contract too, so he doesn't want it. I'm sure he would like it to last a long time. It would make sense. And it looks like they're following the Crown playbook now that they had such a poor showing in the public hearings of Bell 2. Well, finally, that makes sense. That actually makes a little bit of sense. So let's see how all that plays out. Moving across Darling Harbour to the other side to where I am here right now, Crown Sydney. They've got, well, Crown generally, Crown's got David Tsai as their group COO. So they've promoted him. He was brought in from MGM to be CEO of Crown Perth. Crown, of course, for those of you who don't know, have 3 properties. Crown Melbourne, their flagship. Crown Sydney, this new property, and then Crown Perth, which was Burswood. And Crown bought it many years ago. So David was brought in to be CEO of Crown Burswood, but has now been promoted to COO of the entire group. So he'll be pleased with that, as so he should. And now they've appointed Mark McWhinney is going to retire again. He retired in Macau, but then was brought back. Kiran managed to get him to be CEO of Crown Sydney, and he's done a good job in Crown Sydney in getting them back to all their remediation efforts. And so now that that's done, it's time to bring in an operator. So they're bringing in Stanford Lee, most recently of Snoqualmie Casino, 6 years there. But prior to that, at Wynn Las Vegas, and prior to that, Sands China Limited for 3 years in Macau. So good luck to Stanford taking over the gig of being the CEO of this property where I am sitting right now. Okay, story number 4, big stories for this week. The IGT-Everi deal. Wow, that was a big one from the supplier front. $6.3 billion US dollars. So Apollo, the company which bought Venetian in Vegas for, coincidentally, $6.3 million. Well, 6.25. let's just round it to 6.3. So pretty much the same amount of money. Apollo's a huge private equity concern, and one of their funds, or several of their funds, or however these PE guys work it out, have acquired the combined IGT-Everi entity. So IGT had acquired Everi, and then had just acquired Everi, and then over the top, I'm sure it was all planned, Apollo came in and acquired the combined entity. So I think that's about 2/3 IGT, 1/3 Everi. Everi, of course, a loyalty solutions company. IGT, very big slot machine manufacturer, owned, well, out of Italy now, or prior to this transaction, majority shareholder in it was an Italian company, I believe. And I think it would be safe to say over the past few years, IGT has been on a downward trend. Things have not been going well for IGT. Previously one of the biggest slot machine manufacturers in the world, but just off their game a bit in the last few years. And hopefully this helps them to ramp up towards the likes of Aristocrat and Light and Wonder. Almost said Scientific Games then. Light and Wonder. So yeah, good luck. Good luck to IGT, good luck to Everi, good luck to Apollo with now another huge gaming asset on top of Venetian. And the fifth story, well, how could we go through without talking about the POGOs being banned? We've talked about the POGOs forever, and yeah, they've been very problematic in all sorts of ways. And finally, BBM, President Marcos, or BBM as he's known in the Philippines, in his State of the Nation address, made the very popular move of banning POGOs. I don't think it'll work. I don't think, I think going the prohibition route never works. And already there's been some noises about, well, how can they bring it back in a different way? I'm hearing noises about that. And of course, then they'll probably ramp up the POGO business as well. That will probably have to get ramped up a lot, because where are they going to get the money from? In the past, the Philippines' attitude has been, well, we need to keep this because we need the money. We need the taxation revenue. But the social ills and the bad acting POGOs, or the bad acting companies that were calling themselves POGOs and weren't even really POGOs, just tarnished the brand name so badly in the Philippines that eventually they just had to be banned. And there's a lot of anti-China sentiment in there as well. A lot of the POGOs were run out by mainlanders, and there's a little bit of xenophobia in this decision as well. So they were the big areas, I think, in the last month. What's going on in Thailand, MGM Japan, the Sydney shenanigans, both Star and Crown, the Apollo's IGT-Everi deal, and of course the POGOs being banned, and what's going to happen to online gaming in Asia, and what's going to happen to online gaming in the Philippines after all of that. All right, well, for the rest of August, I am on the run again. Tomorrow, a big run of travel. It's only 2 weeks to the end of August, or a touch over 2 weeks and 1 day. But in that time, I will be going from here, Sydney, tomorrow to Melbourne, a few days later to Manila, then to Hong Kong and Macau, then back to Hong Kong. Then I'm actually going down to Saigon. Sorry, I should call it Ho Chi Minh City, but old habits die hard. Back up to Hong Kong and Macau again, and then for a few days for MAD, and then back over to Manila for the Super September stuff. So I'll be in Manila by probably August 31, and then stay in Manila right through the first 2 weeks of September for the Super September. Hope to see you there. Thanks for listening to me rabbit on for half an hour now, or the best part of half an hour, and see you from Crown Sydney, and see you hopefully at MAD in Macau on August 29, or Super September in Manila. Okay, bye for now. See ya.
Run.